High school football practices have begun this week. The games are coming in just the next couple of weeks. Good time to check in with Charlie Wentzky, the supervisor of officials for the State High School Athletic Association. Charlie, as kids get back out, I'm sure the first thought on the minds of their parents are how are things going to be the same and different from the way they were a year ago, COVID-wise?
Certainly. I think all of us had those questions coming into this year, and we know that we're going to start, the year on the normal calendar date for our association to start football practice and our other fall sports. So we know that's true. Unfortunately, we're seeing some recaps of last year starting to come back, where we've got some COVID cases and contact tracing cases starting to pop up with this Delta variant number increasing throughout our state. Wonderful thing we have a blueprint. We've been through it before. We understand what it's like, so we're not flying blind like we were last year at times. So that is a positive in everybody's hip pocket right now.
Absolutely, and we have a vaccine, which I would imagine you guys are suggesting folks use.
Well, we're gonna recommend what DHEC recommends. So if DHEC's recommending that, then we'll follow suit with them for sure.
Go. How different were things for the officials, football officials particularly last year? Obviously, having to wear masked up, coaches were masked up, everybody was trying to stay away from each other. How different was it a year ago for your guys?
It was different. I think for all of our officials, the biggest difference was what happened before the game. Our football officials typically get there an hour and a half before, dress in a locker room on site or at a school. And last year, a lot of times they were coming dressed before. They didn't even go in these small locker rooms to get dressed with other officials. So it changed a little bit pregame. But as I told our football officials, and our other officials could attribute to it as well, is that once the contest started, once that toe met leather to kick it off, it was football again. It was truly football. The rules didn't change for it. The peripherals might have been different. The number of folks there might have been different. But at the end of the day, what they were doing, what they were concerned about, it was very similar once we kicked off.
I know the number of officials total, though, continues to shrink. It continues to be an issue you guys are watching very closely. Did you lose some guys who said, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore? Or are you getting some more in now because they say, okay, now that things are getting back to normal, I want to do this? And how should folks go about wanting to become an official?
Well, we definitely are losing them faster than we're bringing them in. And the thing that people have to remember is if you lose somebody with 20 or 10 or 8 years experience, you don't just replace that immediately with a new person.
Sure.
That new person has to get training, has to go through a couple years of sub-varsity and occasional varsity to even be somewhat ready to go out there. So, we did lose some last year that set out the year due to COVID. And, several of them said, hey, you know what? I really like this being at home on Friday night thing. It's a big challenge.
Huge
to be
commitment.
And I don't think people realize. And as I told all of our officials last year, look, if it, in all of our sports, had they not been willing to put themselves out there during the virus and during the year, we wouldn't have had contests. So we've got to have sports officials. We've already told our schools that there's a high chance we're going to ask schools to move games to Thursday and to Saturdays to be able to cover all of our contests. Right now, we're about 60 officials down from where we normally are, and that trend is not going upward. So we're looking, unless we do something about it, unless we get more people that are willing to sacrifice and to be an official, we're looking at a couple of years from being, another 60 or 70 down. At that point, it becomes crippling to us. So if they want to be an official, we need them, especially in the Hilton Head, Bluffton area. We need officials. We've had, one of the issues with not having enough officials is having a lot of new schools start up. And you all know as well as anyone, you've had several new schools pop up in the last decade. So every time you add a new school, that's more game coverage. We don't have a ton of officials down in the Hilton Head, Hardyville, Ridgeland, Jasper, Beaufort County area. We need more folks that are, hitting the, post-retirement or post-work life or just starting work life. We need more people. If they're interested, just contact our office and we'll get you started in the right direction.
There you go. That's what we want to hear. Don't hug your official in the meantime because you want to stay a little apart from them, but say thanks and don't yell at them nearly as much. That'd probably be good too.
Absolutely. The more we can thank them, especially at the middle school and JV level, and realize that's where they're getting trained just like our student athletes and coaches. That's the big thing. And we may not like their calls, but they're there to be the most independent group. So it happens. They have mistakes at the highest level, so they're going to happen at our level too.
Charlie, thanks so much. We appreciate the time. We will check in with you down the road. Again, Charlie Wentzky, the supervisor of officials for the State High School Athletic Association. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
From Mayor McCann on vaccines and the 278 Corridor Project.